Hey everybody, welcome back to Conscientious Omnivore. My name is Pal. Today I'm doing a quick update here on some of the tropical plants, the exotics that we have growing inside. I've done quite a few videos about this, so for those who have been around for a while, you've seen some of my previous updates. I've had some real challenges growing these in containers indoors. We live in an environment where right now there's just tons of snow and ice covering everything outside. It's a real challenge to get enough sunlight for them, get the right humidity, and to really just have a space where the temperature is right, comfortable for people, not too warm for the plants, not too cold for the plants. It's like I do want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges I'm facing and how I'm dealing with them. In previous videos, I've gotten some really helpful comments from some of you guys watching, so thank you for those. People have suggested I kind of use a indoor greenhouse kind of covering for some of the trickier plants where they need the higher humidity. I want to show you kind of some of the things I've done to basically not need that and still seemingly manage okay. So I'll show you some of the successes and some of the not so successful plants and how they're doing. You can see this is a avocado. It's doing really well. This leaf was just torn up by my daughter, so that's ignore this one, but you can see the rest of it. It's really healthy, looking pretty good. Same thing with this guy over here. Got really good growth on my mandarin trees. These are from my oldest attempts at growing things from seed. So these I planted I think about 3 years ago. These are going on 3 years now. So you got one back here, you got one here in the middle, and the third one here. This is probably my favorite. It's really nice. You can see a lot of new growth has come out from the summer and going into the fall time. So these are just really great. I love these trees. They're really good. I've got my date growing here, another avocado in the back there, and got a bunch of stuff here. We got mango, got the pineapple back there, carob tree, the pomegranate. This is one of those challenging things here with the pomegranate, because this was already kind of going into dormancy when we were going into fall time when I brought it in, and unfortunately it started dropping its leaves because I think it was going into dormancy. But then when I brought it in, it got kind of confused and it thinks like, oh, it's like spring is here, so it starts sending out these new growth shoots. I hope that it's still going to be okay. But we'll see. I think hopefully it pulls through, and then once it's bigger, I definitely plan on planting that outside in a garden. So we'll see what happens there. But that's kind of some of the challenges. Moisture is definitely a difficult thing, and last year all of my avocados died. They just couldn't handle the dryness of being indoors. And this year I've mulched all the potted plants I had, and it seems to have really helped. So I think this is like a huge thing. If you have just some mulch, you can just put that on here. I don't even have to water this as often. This helps keep everything nice and moist. I water this maybe once a weekish, maybe every 5-6 days, something like that, and it's managed to do really well. I also have a bunch of the seedlings here. These are the Conscientious trifoliata, the flying dragon orange. So you guys may remember I did a video about that not too long ago. And I've got a bunch of these growing in some in separate pots as well, and then I kind of had to do a bunch in this one because I just ran out of space. I definitely intend to plant some of these out for next year. We'll see if they survive. I'll keep some in pots as well, but this is the cold hardy citrus, so this should actually survive just fine outside. And you can see these beautiful little leaves. It's called trifoliata because it has the 3 leaves, so each one that kind of comes out as this little 3-leaf thing coming off the stem. They're really cool. They're doing really well. So I got a bunch of those, and yeah, let me show you some other things close up here, and I'll show you some of the things that aren't doing so well. So these are the starfruit plants, and you can see some of them are doing really poorly. They're basically kind of dying. This may have fully died, I'm not sure. Kind of hard to tell from the tip here, but all the stems, all the leaves have fallen. This is like on its way out. This one seems to be hanging on, kind of doing okay, maybe even putting out some new growth. This one I'm pretty sure just dried out completely before I had mulched it and before I was watering it regularly. So I'm pretty sure this one's just dead. This one is still okay right here, and has some nice big leaves on it. But yeah, it's really hard to keep these happy. I don't have enough sunlight for them, and I'm very certain that the moisture conditions are not right. So these are kind of the ones that are struggling the most, I would say, and obviously I've lost some. But I'm going to show you guys one that is doing really well. I have that one at a window. This one is kind of like inside a room, so it's like only getting kind of indirect light, and even that is really just from the afternoon on. And with the sun setting so early, it's very, very little light that these are getting. But I'll show you guys one of the smallest ones I had that is in a windowsill. It's on a easternly facing window, and that one's doing pretty well. I'll show it to you next. So this one I've got in a windowsill here, and you can see that it's doing really well. I mean, the leaves are nice. There's lots of new growth. It's actually kind of running out of space because it's getting so big. This was tiny. I think this was maybe about half as tall when I brought this inside in the in the end of the growing season here in the fall time. And it's doing great, so I'm really happy for this one. It's doing really good. So yeah, I think really it comes down to some of the plants seem to do better than others. I think the ones that are doing the best are the citrus. They seem to be handling the low light better than the other plants, and the moisture problems that I had with them previously seem to all be resolved by just using the mulch right in the pots. This is a kumquat that I've had. This is the oldest kumquat I've had, and it's doing great. It's finally starting to put out all new growth. This whole top part is all new since the summer. It had kind of started off doing really well, and then it almost kind of died out. And then in the summertime, I had transplanted it and it wasn't doing well. And then finally, like, this is all new, so this is doing pretty well. But I think the kumquat is actually just a slower growing tree than the mandarins. They go really fast. I've got one that I just put in into ground like a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and you can see it's already growing out here. So these grow really fast. These are mandarins. I've got a lemon tree that is right here. Sorry, my voice is a little bit scratchy, but this one is actually really cool. I had sprouted a bunch of lemon seeds like way back. I did a video about it maybe. I don't remember if I did it. This may have been before I did videos, actually. I don't remember now. But anyway, this one here was the worst of the batch of lemon trees that I had. And it was kind of straggling along. And I had given away all the little sprouts that I had done. And I think I had like 2 left, and one of them died. And this one was the worst one out of the batch. But it looks to be pretty good now. So it's finally really putting out a lot of new growth. Like, I think in the summer it was still maybe about this big, and now it's like, I don't know, grown maybe twice as big. There's lots of new growth coming out, beautiful leaves. So these are doing really well. The lychee have been doing great. This is the probably the biggest one here, but I've got a bunch up here as well. And this is a mango that's doing really well up here, so this one's doing quite well. And there's another pomegranate over there. So it's just hard. I've got everything on shelves, trying to get the max, sunlight here. It's a challenge, but I wanted to show it to you guys because I think a lot of people, if you're growing stuff indoors, you're going to be kind of, facing the same struggles. This mango is doing terrible. Like, it looks like it's going to be pretty much dead. The other one behind it's doing a lot better. But yeah, I think just, what do you guys do if anybody's growing inside? How do you handle the winter? I know the mini greenhouse suggestion is a good one if you only have like a couple of small plants, but I don't have enough space as it is. I'm kind of stealing all the space in our house for the plants. And I think the mulch for me has been the best that I've found. It's just really good. Obviously it's not good enough for everything, but it seems to be really good for the citrus. Like, that is definitely doing well, because citrus doesn't like wet feet, so you can't water it all the time. And yeah, they just kind of start wilting if you don't water them enough, but they will start yellowing if you water them too much. So I think that's been really good for me. And I want to show you guys one more thing. I got to go downstairs to the basement for that. That's kind of my last challenge that I want to show you guys. Okay, so I'm here in the basement, and as you know, we're in the process of selling our house. I wanted to be able to take some of the raspberry plants and a few other things that I had, like a walnut tree and stuff like that, with us to whatever place we end up buying. And the thing is that because I didn't really have a place to keep these outside where they would just be at around freezing or slightly above freezing, I had to bring them into the garage. But the problem is the garage is like partially heated, So I think it's actually too warm in here, and you know, the soil has been getting so dried out. Like, I've been watering it very infrequently because I don't want things to sprout, like to trick the plants into thinking that it's spring. But despite my best efforts, a lot of the raspberries have sprouted. So you can see down here, that's a new shoot from the raspberry plant. There's another one back there. Same thing here at the top. And I'm really worried because, you know, this is only right at the end of January. There's no way I can bring these back outside. It will definitely kill them, I would think. And if I keep them in here much longer, the lack of the sunlight is going to start probably like killing them. I don't know. At this point, I'm just kind of worried that, like, my best hope for these is to maybe that they just survive, like barely, and then, you know, once I get them planted out, that they will do okay. But you can see, you know, everything's like sprouting out here, and that is not good. I'm not happy about that. The plants are beautiful. They've all got these little ridges coming out, so like it's good, but it's bad. So I'm kind of worried about that. So we'll see what happens. I got the apple trees that I'd never ended up planting. See, these were some of the kind of the unhealthier ones, or like smaller ones, or they were growing crooked or whatever. But I brought them over anyway because why not? And I've got the little walnut tree that I took out. So that's that guy. And I got a little blueberry here that I never planted in the garden. So hopefully these, you know, survive. But this is like one of the, you know, other challenges that I wanted to say is, you know, with these, I may have been better off if I had just kind of like put them outside and just covered all the bases with like a heavy set of leaves. But like by the time I had time to do it and everything, it was kind of like way too late. And then we got like all the freezing cold and the snow and sleet and everything coming in. And I just didn't want to run the risk of these being in like little pots and the soil freezing, and then the, you know, the roots would just get destroyed, because it's not the same as if they were just planted into the ground. And we'll see what happens. I already, you know, gave a few of these plants to like my in-laws, and they were all planted in the gardens, in their respective gardens, at my brother-in-law's place and here at my mother-in-law's place. So hopefully, you know, even if these all die, I'll be able to get some new growths from them in the coming, you know, maybe year or the year after. But hopefully these survive. And yeah, I just wanted to show that to you guys as well. So looking forward to, you know, spring coming along and being able to plant stuff. Definitely, you know, check out my video from last year where I talk about using the toilet roll, the toilet paper rolls as little seedling starters. That was a great, you know, thing for me. I used that in the springtime of last year, and I'm already starting to save up all the paper tubes or whatever for this year. So that's a good one. Check it out if you haven't seen that one yet. And thanks to everyone for subscribing, and really appreciate that. Hope to see you guys in another one, and hope to do a gardening video coming up, you know. But right now the main focus is on still trying to get us a house to buy and find a place to live. So once that's done, you can expect to see me out in the garden a lot. All right, see you guys in the next one. Bye.